Good afternoon, everyone. It's James Carpenter with Country Living, and today we're going to target the weeds. Here we're looking at the zero-turn mower that pulls the sprayer. That's the switch to turn the pump on. And that white thing on the end of the hose, that's a filter that people with recreational vehicles use to filter the water before it goes into their camper, I guess. But anyhow, I filter the water that goes into the tank. That way I don't get any sediments to plug up the spray nozzles. So I've got the tank full. It holds 30 gallons. This is the chemical here. It's a broadleaf weed killer. I've already shook it, but I gave it another little shake. Now, here's where a lot of people's probably going to go off on me. I've been doing this for 30 years. I just kind of pour some in there. And it's I guess it's one of those things where you know just about how much you need. There's a scientific formula, spray rate and so much per gallon and all that. But I'm not going to waste my time on that. I've had pretty good luck just putting what I think is enough in there. And then I use that piece of PVC to stir it up, get all the chemicals mixed. And then once the lawnmower starts moving, just the bumps alone slushes the water around in there and keeps it mixed. Now there's two ways I can spray. There's a little boom on the back. You've probably seen it. It's blue. That's if you want to do the entire lawn. But today we're going to target weeds. We're going to get the weeds that you normally don't get when you spray with the boom. And the reason for that is well, just kind of look at where they're at. They're always like on the edge. Alright, now up here I'm going to spray some clover. There it is. See all them little white specks? That's a clover patch. It's gone now. In about 3 or 4 days it'll pretty much die off. Now that's where we took all them shrubs out the other day. There's a whole bunch of weeds starting to grow in there, so I'm going to go ahead and get that under control right now before they get to be any size whatsoever. As small as they are, I can get rid of them pretty quick. We're going to pull them stumps out, but that project's down the road a little bit, so bear with me. As far as the chemical spray goes, there's, several things you can do to keep your lawn up, but probably keeping the weeds out of the grass is one of the most important things. And when you spray with the boom, you get the big areas. Right there, more clover. Gone. Will be gone anyhow. More clover there. These patches of clover, they were sprayed with the boom in the spring. And this is what the boom didn't get. So this targeted killing of the weeds, I can just go along and find them, and it's almost like hunting. Take the shot and kill the weed. Now these grow up against the building, which I don't like. It looks to me like I haven't weed eated for a little while. It's been a couple weeks. But usually I keep that weed eated pretty good. I slowed it down just so you can show how that wand is just saturating those leaves with chemicals. So we're going to go on down the fence here. Usually I would use Roundup in that area, But since I had the broadleaf weed killer ready to go, and most of those are broadleaf weeds, there is some grass in there. That I actually need to undo the hose and walk back there and spray all that, or at least go in there and weed eat it down. But that's the whole thing with the title country living. Country living means that you got a lot of stuff to keep up with, and spraying weeds is just one of them. So get back to spraying weeds. You can spray at a minimum a couple times a year, 3 times a year would probably be better. You want to do it in the spring, probably about halfway through the season, and then in the fall. Now you're not going to see it in this video, but there's 30 gallons of broadleaf weed killer. I didn't even get all that sprayed before the battery in the GoPro died. So when this video does end, just know that I'm still spraying. And then once I got all the broadleaf weed killer down, I mixed up 30 gallons of Roundup and did the driveway in places like that where, you know, if you don't kill the weeds in the grass that grows in the driveway, you just have an overgrown driveway at that point. And I don't particularly care to have that. This is part of the old fence row, the original fence between the two farmers' property. I cleared that back, took that fence out and all the berry bushes and everything back in about 1980. I did the fence rows all the way around the property just to give it a cleaner look. I planted all these pine trees, by the way, and built this fire pit. Well, pretty much everything you see in this video I've done myself or with very little help. There's another big patch of clover. Those looks like stripes in the yard. That's actually the leach field for the septic system. That's the reason those stripes are there. This area I'm going into now has been neglected the whole season. This will be the first spray that it's received. It's behind a big wall of dirt that I put in a few years ago. And I've got a few pine trees back there that I mow around. But for the most part, you can see it down through there. It's the farmer's field. And a couple things. One, when we get heavy rains, this seems to be a waterway at that point. So it's difficult to really establish good grass, but I'm getting there. I pulled a dead tree out of there. I got to take the bucket on the tractor and fill that back in. And the grass looks kind of spotty here. That's right there where that waterway is, and every time I put a bunch of seed down, we get a big rain, it just washes it away. Now, this is an area that got overlooked when we sprayed with the boom. It didn't get hit, but as you can see, there's a lot of clover in there. But we're going to take care of that. Big patch there, some there. And it's been a very dry summer, so the grass really doesn't look as good as it normally does. I did do a fertilizer application a few days ago, and once we get some rain, that will activate and the grass will green up real nice for me. Now all that mulch you see around the trees and off to the right hand side there, those are arborist wood chips. I get about 2 loads a week and been doing that for well over a year. But I've managed to be able to put wood chips as a form of mulch around all the areas that were difficult to mow. So if I didn't have those wood chips in there, I would physically have to mow and weed eat around every single tree. Can you imagine that? I used to do it years ago when I was young, and maybe not as experienced, but over time you figure out ways to do it easier, especially as you get up there in age, because you just don't have the stamina like you did when you were in your 20s and 30s, even 40s. But I do this, what you see here, I probably do this a minimum of 3 times a year. But I want to say between 3 and 5. It all depends on time. Do I have the time? Or it also depends on, I am sick and tired of looking at these weeds. I got to do something about it. But as you know from some of my other videos, I've been spending a lot of time in my shop organizing. And when you devote time to one project, you're obviously neglecting another project. That spillway I put in over there, I'm going to line that with decorative rocks. That's another project I want to do before the season ends. And the reason I had to put that in is because my driveway blocks the normal flow of water. So it has no way to go across to the waterway. So I ran everything down to the ditch, run it underneath my culvert pipe, and then it makes its way to where it needs to go. You gotta be very careful when you do this not to hit the trees, but I've been doing it for a lot of years. I'm a pretty good shot. See, I even got that thistleweed, and it was halfway underneath that tree. That one there, same thing. You just got to be a good shot. Those pine trees wouldn't appreciate the chemicals, I can assure you that. Alright, so this is another area that I mulched. You know, that screen keeps going blank or black. I think it's in between takes in the video for whatever reason, but anyhow, I apologize for that. Right here, this area, if I wasn't on top of it with the spray, those thistle weeds were going crazy in there, and they were coming from the farmer's field. Now you see that high grass on the right there? Years ago, well, not years ago, probably, I stopped mowing it about 3 years ago, but I used to mow all the way up to the beans, and that area looked perfect, and I had good grass in there, and I sprayed it, and I did everything I did to the rest of the lawn. So everywhere you see mulch, I used to mow. So I've got my mowing time reduced considerably with the mulch, and aesthetically I think it looks good personally. And once it rots down, it's going to turn into some really good soil. Alright, when you start seeing them symbols like up in the upper left hand corner, the video is going to end off here shortly. What I would ask is, if you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I'm really trying to build this YouTube channel, and I need your help. And it's just a simple, hit that subscribe, hit the like button, leave me some comments. And I'm sure a video like this could get some good comments, especially from a lawn care guy. But trust me, I've probably been spraying these same weeds, not these same weeds, but spraying this same property for years. And mixing the chemicals the way I mix them, and I've never had an issue. If you don't keep up with the weeds, they will take over. I came back through that second time with that Roundup and sprayed all that stuff you see there. I'm spraying it now just for the broadleaf, but I sprayed it again with Roundup. I sprayed Roundup all down the side of that container. And that sidewalk goes from one property to the other property, so you don't actually have to walk on the grass, or especially when the grass is wet. You just got a really nice sidewalk, and that's made out of that slag material, that stuff that comes from the molted metal. It floats to the top, they crush it up, turn it into gravel. And it's actually cheaper than limestone gravel, and it's far better in my opinion. I did this whole driveway down here with that stuff, and you can see it in the background there. You know, it's not even fall yet. Look at all the leaves that have dropped in the yard. Right here, there's quite a few thistle weeds, and when those things go to seed, they're like dandelions. They just put off a boatload of seed. So if you're not taking care of getting rid of them, they will multiply, and I mean fast. And the thistle weed is, you know, it's kind of a prickly little weed. I don't care for them at all. I came back and sprayed those with Roundup. I sprayed Roundup around all them rocks. But anyhow, I can tell here that this is about to end. I appreciate you guys watching, and have a great evening.